Well, hey, how you doing out there? This is Harold. I'm over here at Papa Bear Peppers channel, and well, guess what? I finally figured out how to transfer my videos over. So there's a couple that I wanted to bring over. One is about my greenhouse. One is about my containers that I use in my greenhouse. Which, please check it out. And also, while you're at it, please go ahead and subscribe and like these videos. I want to keep going. I want to build this site and grow, pardon the pun, but grow with you. And I was out there checking my plants, and I found this little fella right here. It would be a Reaper, but look at that crazy design on this one. It's just an awesome little design on it, all warty. Man, I like that one. So what I'm going to do is, after I get done with this video, I'm going to eat half of this and spice things up a little bit. So that's my Carolina Reaper that I have, and I'm going to be doing that. Also, down here in my trays, if you can see that, yep, we got some seeds going, and it's going pretty good. I've been having to mess with my LED light here a little bit to get the height right, because simply put, you got to be careful when you run your LEDs, because it's not the same as when you run, say, let's say this Flora Wing that I have for sale, because I just simply don't use the compact fluorescent lights like you. Not that there's anything wrong with it. In fact, that one there that I have comes with an extra bulb, and it claims to run at 200 watts, and it's full spectrum daylight is what those are from, and that's from Hydro, what is that one, Hydro Farms. And that also, like I said, when I say it comes with a bulb, I got this bulb it comes with too. And for a beginner grower, that's pretty good, because this bulb is 80 bucks. And yeah, it's a pretty good deal going on there. Anyway, my biggest thing too was with LEDs, and I had an individual I was talking to earlier today, and back on Facebook and checking things out. And I'm going to tell you what, this LED that I got right here, that you see right here, that's a 300 watt, and there's nothing wrong with it. It grows, and it actually grows them fast. In fact, on the end of these leaves, there's a little bit of burn. That's how intense the light is. And in fact, I was writing down as I was going, and of course, don't mind my scribble, but I was kind of looking at it, and I had to do it like 3 or 4 times, because I couldn't believe the difference in my lux. Okay, now I know that you wanna measure this versus PPDL, and in your and when you're getting into your nanometers and everything else, and in your range PPDs, and your PAR range, which now includes, a lot of times uses PAR ranges, and they've kind of went further into this. And that, by what I mean is getting into the PAR ranges, going beyond 400 down into the 300s, and above 700, which is in the 730s. And what I'm referring to is your UVs, or your IRs, I'm sorry, your infrareds, which we don't see that, but the plants do. And it also increases the growth rate. And be aware of that when you want to order an LED from Amazon, in which, look, that's where I ordered this one. That's where I ordered the one that I have coming in, and I'm going to try out, which is a Lenofocus. Hey, you know what? I'm a budget grower just like you all out there. Now that doesn't mean that I might here really soon get a spider garden. Uh, I believe that's the HF 1000, but the spider garden light on Amazon. It goes for $149. Here and there, I have no sponsors. So what I have to do is the same thing as you guys out there. I grow by what my budget can afford. When I first got this light here, this 300 watt, it's what I did. And you might notice my little handiwork here, and I'll get into that on another episode. And that's my light rack, because my light rack doesn't cost that much. I bet you I got maybe $15-20 into it using 3/4 inch PVC Schedule 30. Don't get it from Lowe's, and I'm sorry Lowe's, but the reason I say that because that's the very thin wall pipe, and Home Depot and some of the other stores, McLennan, some of your other stores, make sure it's a thicker wall. You want some structural support to that, especially if you're using 3/4 inch, because even as you can see here, I get a little arc. It's not bad, but it supports the light. And I'll also tell you, like you see here, that's connected at 2 feet. It's 4 feet on height when you get up to these things, because you have to bring the LED light up off the plants. It's not like when you're running a T5, for instance, which I went out and checked that, and my voltage off the wall on that one is 117. That Bloom Spec, or the Hydro Farm, runs 103 watts. That's really good, but the intensity of the light is not that high. The intensity of off that is only 5,443 lux, which I know that's not your par, and I'm not checking my lumens on that. But as I moved around on this thing, it got significantly lower with my FloraWing. That's now, again, that's not to say that you can't grow with fluorescent lights like the T5s and this FloraWing. You're going to be able to grow with it, but you really can only do a lot of veg state with it, because the par range doesn't extend out past. And you're going to get good plants. And I know a lot of people that run T5s and get vegetation, they get flowering, and then they're wondering why they fall off. Well, think about this. When you put a plant in the sun and all of a sudden you got peppers all over, why is that? Well, because you're introducing your IRs, your infrareds, and you know, a spectrum that a CFL or compact fluorescent light, or even this fluorescent tube, they just can't mimic as much as the LEDs can, because they've come so far. With that being said, there are some really nice lights out there for budget, but I'm just saying, if you run it, and this one you can see here, it has a fan and you can hear it running. That fan increases my power to 125.9 watts off the wall. However, this thing is so strong, it makes these things grow so fast, because it does have some IR, and this is, again, it has the infrared. It goes into the deep red as well as the reds, and the color spectrum seems to be good, because even if you're counting the bulbs on there, you can tell. Your blue color spectrum is used to thicken the plants up while as your red is meant to make them grow. But when and you can get into people like Albo Pepper, which is, I watch him often because he has a real deep grasp, and he does a lot of testing. That man loves to test his pepper plants. So there's a couple other ones that I've gotten into. Apogee. If you look up that one and check out some of his, you got to stay awake because it's not easy. But if you're really interested in your light and color spectrums, it gets defined a lot more. But I, like you, am a very layman's term type grower. I want to know what's going to make my plants grow the best. And I am learning. I still grow outside, do not get me wrong. The only reason I grow inside right now is because I have to get my peppers ready, just like you do, for our growing seasons, because I don't live in Florida, I don't live in Texas. Hawaii, I'd love to live there and grow peppers because the climate is like the same all the time. You tell me what would happen. And some of the other southern states that are in a better growing climate. Yeah, it gets cold, but like when I was in Italy, you have an extendedly long season. I grow in Italy from April till November and have great temperatures for growing. With that said, my lux on that, and let's talk about this, a 300 watt. My bloom spec, which is I have two of these, and these are the first ones I got. And granted, they weren't, I got what I could afford at the time, and that's cool. But what I found out is, like with this one, for instance, my average lux on this one, and trust me, it doesn't have anything to do with my par. I'm sure that if it's a full spectrum, it's great. But my lux reading, and I'm just using from my phone because I can't afford the high-end par readers or any of that, but it was 57,803, and my high was 65,171. Let me go ahead and page back that my Hydrofarm Flora Wing, and these are both readings at 12 inches, high was 7,500 or 7,059 lux. 7,000. And my average was 5,443 lux. That lux is references to what we can see. And so it's just telling me the intensity of the light. So I go from, on an average of 57,700 plus lux to, my energy expended is 125.9 at the socket, down to 5,443 lux, burning 103.5 at the socket. So with 25 more lux, I have increased the intensity of my light by well over 10 times. Well, okay. And if you look here how far I've got that light off of there, and I measured it because when I was at 24 inches, I was burning leaves on these seedlings. And you can see white on the edge of the leaves from where it burned. Right here, I'm at, from the base of the plants, I'm right at about 30 inches. And that seems to be okay. I've checked the coverage and I've got good coverage. what I do, because I'm only running one of my two lights. I have two of these. I'm running one of the two, but with my new one coming in, I'll only have to run one and cover a larger, broader space. What am I saying is that the newer lights with the quantum boards don't use fans. So inherently they're more efficient. They don't burn as much electricity because they're not pushing a fan. So if you remove the fan part of this, it's running less electricity. It's got more intensity on the light, and it's still full spectrum. But the quantum boards, they just run a lot more efficient. You know, and I could pull up a picture here and show you, but it's just a panel and your driver. And the Leno Focus, from what I read, has a Meanwell driver on it. So the driver is a great driver. It's waterproof. So I'm looking forward to that coming in. I built this stand basically for it more than I did for this, but I have to keep running my 300 until I get my newer light in. So with that being said, I do have a lot of plants going. One thing I did discover is how hot this mat runs in comparison to, say, one of these smaller mats. Same type of a mat, okay, mind you. And I've got I paid $27 for this mat many years ago. And it's a great mat. Trust me, I've got 3 of them. They're great mats. This one here, if I would have paid full price, would have been close to 80 or 90 bucks. Got it on a closeout for $20. I couldn't refuse. However, what I have done is I've got 3 layers of cardboard in here. And I told folks before, all you could do is put a piece of cardboard between the light or the mat and the seedling trays, and you'd run good. But I'm concerned because I'm still running temps. I checked soil temp, I'm at 91.5. But when I put my cheapo thermostat under it, it shows that I'm running, I'm running right at 110 degrees. So I'm going to trim that down. And what I did is I ordered the thermostat controller for the seed mats. And that way I can control the heat a little bit more. Friend of mine, John Barlock, and we talk a lot. We're always comparing information, so we kind of use each other and bounce off different ideas. And John, shout out to you, but we do this a lot. We've come up with some solutions on fertilizers, lights, and in fact we'll be comparing lights because John, as far as I know, is getting a Mars 1000 or 600 watt, I'm sorry, it's 600 watt Mars quantum board, because that one won't use a fan either. I've looked at it and it's a good deal, don't get me wrong. It's but we're going we want to see what works better. We do this often. John and I, we do this often. So we even compare how many we've had pop. John, I've got a few more that popped since we talked. They just all of a sudden appeared. Probably when I put the 3rd layer of cardboard on there. But John and I talked, and yeah. So I'm going to do that. Without further ado, maybe I should go ahead. Since it's 2020, and I got peppers still on the plant, I can eat a chunk of this one. Let's see what it looks like inside. What is my point? What am I getting at? Why am I saying that? Because I know that when we get out there and we spend our money on our lights, we want to get the best bang for the buck that we can. And sometimes we're running a budget, right? I am. I can't, A Leno Focus is 80 bucks, and so is a Mars, 600. The Spider Farmer is 150. Sometimes you get what you pay for, right? Let's find out. That's what we got to do. We got to experiment and try. Leno Focus is fairly new with this, so I don't know. We'll have to see and see what happens. But when you say you're on a budget, how much do you want to spend on your electricity? So if I get a 300 watt, which isn't 600 watt by Amazon standards, but it's not 1,000 watt by Amazon standards, and be careful of that too, because I've seen a lot of videos that say that they are 600 watt or 1,000 watt, and it's not true. They're not running that there. But I was impressed with the demo, with all the graphics and everything that I got from Leno Focus. I thought maybe I'd give them a try. When I looked at Best 2019, let me see if I can pull that one up. I had it here. Well, maybe I do, maybe I don't. This Leno Focus here, I was looking at some things, some independent studies, and this doesn't mean anything. But let me go ahead and put this up there. That a Leno Focus, let me see if I can hold you still here long enough to bring this in. I was looking at things. Leno Focus came up number 3 in this one here that I'm looking at, and this was done by Best Quantum Boards of 2020, top rated and reviewed by Kimplex.com. And then when I looked at another one here, let's see, I looked at dimmable LEDs. And what I looked at here, and I kind of read through this, it's the lowest cost Leno Focus coming in over here. And it covers it advertises 3x3 for veg, 2x2 for bloom. Has the equivalent, and spectrum is 3 to 5,000 with 660 nm, the nanometer red, and then comes in at the micromoles at 570. So it's in a certain color spectrum. So we're going to see how it rates out, and that's why I was looking at it. And also, I mean, best overall, again, if you look up here, I ain't gonna lie, it's Spider Farmer. Right here, the Spider Farmer 1000 is just, you know, it's all over the place because it also has the 760 NMIR. So yeah, it goes off the charts. But when I read further into the research on that, it also said that a Leno Focus came in as number 2 overall for its lighting, the spectrum and everything. So, you know, I got to give it a shot. Anyway, here's a chunk of that. I'm going to see if I can eat that and still talk. And this is from my Reaper. Ho, ho, ho. How many people out there talking about lights? Oh, yeah. Oh. Look at the inside of that. Boys and girls, I ain't joking. That's hot. Of course it is. It's a Reaper. Silly. Oh. That's pretty intense. Ooh. So that's going to take my breath away for a second. But that was warm, wasn't it? Ah. Okay. You want to know how to keep me from talking? I eat a Reaper. talk about this a little bit, just for a second. My strain comes from Ed Curry, meaning I got years back 6 Reaper plants delivered from Ed Curry. People that say talk a lot about him, but you know, he's really a good guy. He's not always as bad as you think, but anyway, that's what I grow my Reapers from. That peppers that come out looking just like this and burn just like that. Whew. So there's my first little review of 2020. Lights. Be careful what you buy. What you buy might cost you more in the end. Fans are going to burn electricity. Quantum boards that are using, they're basically they're cooling by evaporation in a sense. They're not using fans. Passive cooling. That board that I come in advertises at 100 watts. That's under any one of these lights. And from what I understand, is going to be twice as bright as my 300 watt for $80. Think about it when you buy a light. Just think about it, because you may save money up front, but when you're paying for the energy bill, you may lose on the backside. So that's what I got for tonight, people out there. I hope you're having a good night. My mouth is on fire. That Reaper lit me up. So y'all have a great night out there, and let's call it good right there.